Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, today we are going to be talking about timeless lighting designs. So I really want to talk about those pieces that are gorgeous and timeless and honestly look good all the time. Like you really just can't go wrong with some of these pieces because they're beautiful. They've been around for decades, most of them, and they are always in style in my opinion. They are gorgeous, they are well designed. These are stunning, stunning pieces. For this video, I'm going to be mentioning the designer that created the original work, and some of those you can actually still buy. But I'm also going to be mentioning other places where they have similar designs. Some of them are just like straight up dupes, I'm gonna be honest, and some of them are just maybe kind of inspired by or sort of similar to these original pieces. And I think that's important because I just know the reality is for most of you, you're probably not going to buy the original designer work and you can get them at more sort of accessible price points or at sort of mainstream retailers as well. So I'm gonna be mentioning if you can get the original designer piece, I know that's important to some of you, great, but there are some sort of dupes or inspired by pieces that are out there that can give you a similar effect, maybe at a more affordable price point too. So let's get to this timeless lighting that always looks amazing. Okay, first up here is going to be the PH5 Pendant Light. I love this light. I love that it comes in sort of 3 different shades, which kind of gives it like a really interesting look where it has light sort of bouncing off of different kind of areas of the pendant. It's always an interesting sort of conversation starter. It was invented in 1958 by Danish designer Paul Henningsen. Sorry, Danes, I probably screwed that up, but yes, it's a really, really beautiful piece and inspired a lot of sort of Danish design. I honestly do feel that this light looks gorgeous over a dining room table. It is just a beautiful, timeless pendant that always looks good. I've seen this a lot in residential design. I've seen it a lot in commercial design as well. It also usually comes in a bunch of different colors. So you can do sort of a multicolored approach. You can sort of tie in your lighting and it really just kind of breaks up some of the usual metal lighting that we see where you've got things, you know, in brass or matte black or whatever. I love that it comes in a bunch of different colors. I think it can really work quite well into a different color palette, especially if you're looking for a sort of fun conversation starter of a pendant that you want to really tie into the rest of your color palette. I think this is a beautiful option. This is kind of a really good example of sort of how form meets function, I think, in a really beautiful way, because I love the way that the light is emitted off the PH5. You know, nothing is too harsh. It doesn't have sort of any exposed light bulbs because it's sort of the way that it's designed and the way that the light is emitted out of the different sort of parts of the shade. I just think it creates something that's really, really interesting and nuanced. It's called the PH5, interestingly enough, because the shade is always 50 centimeters in diameter. I've also seen some really interesting sort of table lamps and different floor lamp options that are out there that are sort of inspired by the original shape of the PH5. So originally it was a pendant, but there are some really gorgeous ones out there for table lamps. You can buy some really interesting sort of shapes, similar kind of inspired designs from places like Wayfair. And then there's some even ones that just are really sort of pushing the envelope and sort of changing things that you can get from places like CB2 as well. So there's a lot of different sort of options that are out there, but you can also still buy the PH5 as well. If you want to go for the classic design, you can also buy that too. Okay, the next timeless lighting fixture that I want to talk about is the Arco floor lamp. Now, in a recent video, I called the Arco floor lamp an impractical lighting fixture, which I still kind of stand by because I still feel like depending on the position of where you put your Arco floor lamp, someone is inevitably going to hit their head. So you really have to be careful with how practical this lighting fixture is. It's all about the positioning and really being mindful of how sort of you put it in the space. But I will still say it is a timeless lighting fixture. There are many variations that have come along in the decade since it was first originally created. So the Arco floor lamp was originally created to create sort of an overhead glow without necessarily having a whole lot of wiring. And for that reason, it is very successful. I think for a floor lamp to be able to provide an overhead glow into a space is not that easy to do. And I think it is a really beautiful piece. It is originally also anchored by a piece of Carrara marble. So I know that there are different dupes that are out there that probably don't have the marble piece on the bottom. You have lots of different options on how you can weight it to make sure that it is really balanced because you don't want that thing to flop over onto anybody. But the original always has the Carrara marble. It is really a beautiful lamp, I will be honest, although I still think kind of impractical sometimes depending on how it's positioned, but it is still a really beautiful floor lamp. And I do think that it is a timeless piece that you can put in a living room, you can put in a bedroom, you can put over top of a dining room table. I'm not gonna lie, I do prefer a pendant myself, but there are lots of different ways that you can use this lamp. There are lots of options out there. You don't have to look far. Now, there are lots of different designs that have been kind of created since the Arco floor lamp that are quite similar to this design. I would say of all the ones that I'm featuring today, this is the one that has so many different copycats and sort of dupes along the way that it's really kind of hard to say how many different pieces have been inspired by the Arco floor lamp. It is really just a beautiful timeless piece that you can always feel really good about putting in your home. If you can find the original classic, it really is a gorgeous piece to add to your space. Okay, next up is the Sputnik. This is created by Gino Sarfati. This was designed by him in the 1950s. He created many lighting pieces over his career. I think this Italian designer though, this is probably his most famous work, which was the Sputnik. I love this pendant, I'm not gonna lie to you, or this chandelier. It really is a gorgeous piece. So this piece was really inspired by the launch of the first satellite, and it's kind of a quintessential sort of mid-century modern piece. And it was designed really to have this sort of radial fixture sort of element with sort of lighting that is incredibly practical, but always sort of multi-dimensional. And I think that's really important, is that the Sputnik is really good at lighting a space in all sorts of different directions, which makes it sort of a really interesting piece. It's very popular to put over top of a dining room table. And there are so many pieces that have inspired it over the years since. So yes, the original Sputnik you can get if you can manage to find it. I mean, great, it's a beautiful piece. It really is awesome. But there's a lot of different pieces that are out there that I think are sort of inspired by the original Sputnik. And you can find them at CB2, you can find them at Wayfair, you can find them at Target, you can find them anywhere. There are so many gorgeous pieces that I'm gonna show you guys here that I think really take after the design philosophy of the original Sputnik. But this is just a timeless feature. Yes, it comes in and out of style. Definitely if you lean more mid-century, which of course you guys know, if you can tell by my background, I love a mid-century modern piece. This definitely feels very mid-century modern to me. It's definitely inspired by that period in history, and it is just a really gorgeous piece. And I think it always looks good. Like, I don't think this piece ever really truly looks out of style. I love the Sputnik. Okay, next up is going to be the saucer lamp, which was created in 1948 by George Nelson. Okay, this is a really beautiful, timeless piece, which is just really beautiful in a space, right? It definitely diffuses the light so it never feels really harsh, and that is what I think is sort of the success of this light. This sort of was a piece also that really sort of created or spoke to which is popular in mid-century design, which was of course creating well-designed pieces that were appropriate and at a price point that was accessible to many people. If you've seen my mid-century modern video, you know all about this, but basically this period and this movement really sort of spoke to simple designs that were able to be accessible to more people, to the rising middle class that we saw, especially here in kind of the Western world, that happened in the post-World War II era. That was really kind of what mid-century modern design, or a big part of mid-century modern design, was all about. This lamp really shows that, and I do think that it works. It looks as beautiful now in 2022 as it did in 1948. It is really just a really gorgeous piece. Always looks good, always timeless, always amazing. A really like designer favorite. Like, I feel like, you know, you've seen this lamp places and you're just, it's a designer favorite. People always fall back on it because it is beautiful, it is timeless, it always looks amazing. Okay, next timeless lighting feature is we are going to be talking about the Anglepoise, which is a task lamp, the original task lamp. It's an iconic task lamp. In fact, you probably are looking at this task lamp and not even thinking that this is a designer piece. You're probably thinking that is what everybody knows a task lamp to be, right? This is the Pixar logo. This is the Pixar icon for a reason, because it is a classic task lamp. This is the task lamp that all other task lamps are compared to. You know what I mean? This is just a really beautiful task lamp that is very industrial looking. This was created in 1935, and it was actually created by a designer who originally was working on cars. He was an expert in sort of suspension systems, and he created this beautiful lamp, and it is industrial, it is classic, but it always looks good. This is a timeless lamp. You should never feel like this is going to be something that looks dated in the future if you put this on your desk. This is something that is just a classic piece that you can always have there. It's never going to look weird. It's never going to look tired. It's never going to look out of date. It's not too trendy. It's classic, right? That is a definition, and this lamp to me is the definition of a timeless, classic lighting piece. And I think if you're looking for a task lamp, especially in an office, you really can't go wrong with this piece. To say this has inspired so many designs is an understatement. I mean, this, as I said, this is a task lamp. So there are so many task lamps that are out there that you can buy that are substitutes to that original designer work. But honestly, this has become so synonymous with what a task lamp is, particularly a desk lamp. This is so easy to find. There are so many dupes, or so many, I mean, can you even call them dupes anymore? Because this is a desk lamp. That is what it is. So there are so many out there. Honestly, you don't need me to help you find them. Okay, next up here, we have the 3-arm floor lamp, which at this point now has definitely been turned into sort of a chandelier, but you could also buy it in the floor lamp, which is the original, but then you can get it in like a task lamp. It comes in lots of different sort of places. But this lamp is a timeless design. This was created in 1953. I feel like I'm highlighting a lot of designs from the 1950s. They were just some good lamps, you guys. There were so many lighting fixtures that came out in that period that are timeless, that were beautiful then, they're beautiful now. This one is no different. I feel like this one in particular right now is having a moment. I'm seeing it all over the place. It seems to definitely be caught in a bit of a trend. But again, like I've said, trends aren't necessarily bad. I think trends are just new ideas and new ways to take kind of old ideas and refresh them into something new. But this lamp was beautiful in the 50s. It was beautiful now. It's beautiful all the time. This is a timeless piece. So yes, it's a little bit trendier now than maybe it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, but it was just beautiful 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's just that it wasn't trendy, right? Like that is to me the definition of kind of a timeless piece. It always looks good. Might ebb and flow in terms of trends, but overall it always looks good. And that's the thing with this lamp. This is just a gorgeous lamp that is apparently designed in order to show the female form. And there's a quote here, I'm quoting from the designer. It says, quote, "Lamps are there to be touched." And so it is inspired by one of his favorite things, which is the female form. Listen, I'm not an expert on the female form. Sorry. Whatever. Apparently, the lamps are there to be touched, and this is inspired by the female form. I don't super get it. I do think it's a beautiful lamp. Whatever he needs to do in order to create his beautiful work, I'm here for. So if that's what he thinks it looks like, then great. It's still a beautiful timeless lamp. I think it's gorgeous. It comes in lots of different variations and all of them are beautiful. You really can't go wrong with this piece. Okay, next up, we are going to highlight a much newer piece, even though it looks like it's a much older piece, and that is the Turner Pendant Lamp. Now this is inspired apparently by the moves of Tina Turner. Please see previous point, I don't super get it. Apparently all these usually male lighting designers tend to model their lighting fixtures after women. I don't see it, but there you go. If that's, again, if this is how they get inspired, who am I to question it? Anyway, the Turner lamp, this looks like an Art Deco piece, but it's not. It actually came around in about 2006, I believe, and it looks like it's an Art Deco piece. This is sort of part of maybe an Art Deco revival that we could be having that I keep talking about, but we'll see if it actually happens. But it's a really beautiful piece. I have seen this in a pendant. You can see this in a table lamp. It comes in a few different options. So this original Turner pendant lamp, which is an Art Deco inspired fixture, is made of brass and aluminum, and the body has 5 gold-plated finished movable arcs, which can be rotated and sort of twisted into kind of the desired position that you're looking for. I love that it's got a lot of movement. I love movement in lighting if you can manage it, just because you're able to kind of move it depending on your needs of the moment, which can be great in things like a task lamp or something like that. But also it gives a little bit of like room for the light to bounce when it sort of is in motion, which I think is really cool. So it makes it feel really fun and really sort of fresh and interesting. It's a really beautiful lamp. So the small shade is actually lacquered in sort of a matte white, which I think is really cool, but you can sort of customize it a little bit to your choosing. But I love that it doesn't sort of have an exposed light bulb, which I think is really nice to sort of diffuse the light in your space. So the diffused light coupled with sort of the moving arcs around it, I think makes for a really beautiful piece. Okay, next up is the Atollo lamp. Now this is a beautiful lamp that is honestly, I think really truly at home as like a bedside lamp. I think having a pair of these on 2 nightstands in a gorgeous room is stunning. I do think it's really interesting. It was invented about 1979, I think. I really love the combination of sort of, you've got the geometric shapes, right? You've got the circular on top, but then you've got the triangle sort of cone where it meets the light bulb in the center. And I just love that sort of juxtaposition of the curve and the sharp angle. But then of course you've got the smooth cylinder base to it. It's really interesting. And just again, you've got those kind of sharp angles, which I just think really works well in something like a beautiful bedside table lamp. You can use this in other places if you want to put this in your living room. I think it would be really gorgeous on the side of an end table or something. Really beautiful classic piece. You can see this as inspired since 1979 that it was invented. You can see this as inspired many lamps since. Different ones have come and gone that have done sort of played with these geometric shapes in a table lamp, which I think is really cool. So there's lots of really great options, but you just can't mess with this classic timeless piece. It's really beautiful. Okay, next up, we're gonna talk about the Grasshopper Lamp. Now this was invented by a female designer. Could you imagine that? Our first female designer that has made this list. This was created by designer Greta Grossman, and she is a Swedish designer, and she created this really beautiful, it's the grasshopper, what we say in English. I believe it's the grasshopper, or I pronounced that wrong. Guys, I can't learn Swedish, Danish, Italian, French. I can't learn them all, okay? So just give me that one. I apologize, okay, if I screw up all the names. But this is another really beautiful lamp that is timeless. I do feel like this is a lamp, kind of like we discussed earlier, that is definitely on trend right now. Arco, for example, has a really similar inspired lamp as this one, but this is a really beautiful timeless piece. So this lamp was introduced in 1947 and has been a classic ever since. Again, we're gonna put this in the category similar to some of the other ones of a mid-century lamp, but I would say as a floor lamp is kind of a classic, but it does come in a few different other shapes and styles. And again, there's a lot of inspired pieces that are sort of doing something quite similar to the original Grasshopper, but I would say this is a classic mid-century piece that always looks stunning in a room. Definitely a really awesome floor lamp to include, especially in something like a living room. I'm thinking I've kind of spec'd this out for my home, maybe in the bedroom, kind of next to a nice little lounge chair, maybe a cute little desk. There's lots of different ways that you can use this lamp, but this is a beautiful timeless piece. Next up, we have the branching bubble lamp. This was by Lindsay Ottoman. She is from New York, another female designer. We love to see it. And she has created this really beautiful branching light that sort of is gorgeous, I think, over top of a dining room table. But honestly, I think you can get really creative with this one. I've seen this kind of in a nice, beautiful chandelier in the center of a living room. It looks stunning. I love that it's got kind of a really organic shape to it, right? So again, this is obviously inspired by sort of a branching system of lights where you can see sort of it sheds light in lots of different directions, but it's got like a really sort of natural organic shape to it. So many of these lighting fixtures that we have seen in the past, they're very geometric in nature and very sort of man-made in structure. And I think this one just has so much of an organic feel. This is of course still made of metal, but it is still kind of a really interesting combination of industrial and organic in one, which I think is really sort of neat. There's lots of sort of really different options in terms of how you can shape this lamp. So you can keep it sort of really simple, or you can go really extravagant, and it's kind of as extravagant as you want it to be, which I really, really love. And I think that's something, the modularity of the design is sort of something, and how you can get it in different shapes and different sizes, I think is really, really cool. And definitely something that is more prevalent, I think, in contemporary pieces. So this is obviously something that has been around sort of a lot less time than some of the designs from the 1950s. And I think for that reason, you know, it sort of embraces this idea of some degree of customization to create something that really works for you. So it comes in lots of different shapes and sizes to fit the space that you're looking for. And I love that. And I think that's what really makes this piece very contemporary. So that's it for me for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Did I miss any timeless pieces? Let me know in the comment section. There are so many more that are out there that really are just timeless, gorgeous pieces that just always look good, right? You don't have to always buy into the new trendy thing. If you're interested in timeless pieces, you may enjoy my video of timeless design, where I kind of give you my thoughts on what I believe timeless design looks like. So I will see you all in that video. Thanks a lot. Bye.